Hello everyone, we're back for day two. Day two is going to be about tackling some of this photo etch. I'm not worried about lighting at the moment. I'm more worried about getting some of this photo etch work done. I'm going to work on the lighting a little bit today too. I've come up with some ideas for tackling the walls around the cockpit. Okay, so but I'm going to tackle them later tonight. I have about an hour and a half, 2 hours to work tonight. And again, I want to just try to get some of this photo etch work out of the way. I'm starting to figure some of it out by looking at it. Some of it I'm still not sure where it goes. A lot of the photo etch goes on this thing in such a way that I don't have to mess with putting the model together first. Because here, what I'm talking about is this exterior photo etch at the bottom. That's the two halves. I can put all that photo etch on the two halves. All I have to do is clean it up a little bit first, and then I can start putting this stuff on. There's some interior there's exterior hatch, interior hatch stuff. There's a rear bulkhead. There's a little bit of the interior stuff so that I can take care of that, and I'm going to. But most of the interior, there's this thing that goes on the control stick that I have no idea what it is, but I'm going to put it together and look at it. That's worrying me the most. A lot of this really is not. So, wow, I'm not sure what that is. I need to look at the back of that. I got a computer on here, so I'm going to take a look. The rear reactor cover looks like I got multiple parts that go on top of each other, but I'm not sure of that. So it's kind of puzzling me, that part. I mean, I could see it going on there just fine, and that would be behind the pilot. You guys can't see what I'm doing, so let me put the camera down on the work surface. That work? Okay. What I'm talking about is this. This part right here is a mystery to me. I think it goes there. Okay? I know where that part goes. That part goes here. It replaces the detail that's there. It just sits down on top of that. That's easy. These parts supposedly go on the inside of this hatch, which means that hatch is painted before I touch those. Okay? This, of course, is the interior lighting guide. Most of these are just details on the outside of the ship, and that's what I'm going to work on tonight. Now, part of what I do when I'm working with photo etch, and I don't have experience working with tiny photo etch like this, is I use this super glue. Okay? Gorilla Glue. It dries very slow. This takes about a minute before it starts setting up, maybe a minute and a half. It is not quick curing, which means I can position the part where I want before it grabs and holds. So I can take my time. I'm going to get my tweezers out. I'm not recommended brand names at all. I'm just going to tell you what works for me and what doesn't. Went to Harbor Freight Tools, bought a set of tweezers. That's all that's left. I threw most of them out. They were worthless. The ends don't line up. You can't pick up anything with them. So I got fed up, got somewhere and bought a nice set of tweezers. I don't even know who this brand is, okay? But they came in a case. I've kept them in the case. Some of them have tip protectors on them. These tweezers are worth far more to me than the Harbor Freight Tools are. These are garbage. These aren't even worth the metal they're made out of. Okay? So you gotta be careful what you get at Harbor Freight Tools. But these guys, they have been wondrous. So I got my tweezers. Another thing I do is I take beverage lids, bottle caps. I'm just getting some. There you go. A bunch of bottle caps. I just save them in a cup. And toothpicks. I apply the super glue with toothpicks. So I'm getting some of those out. Okay? Toothpicks. Also, while I'm storing photo etch parts, I use these little guys. Just put the photo etch parts in them as I cut them off the sprue. fold them, put them in. I got a little factory set up. I also use these for mixing paint. They're stainless steel, so nothing really sticks to them, including paint. There's some paint in that one. Probably some Vallejo paint, because I tend to brush paint Vallejo paint. And it comes off. Again, nothing really sticks to that. So I got my setup. I'm ready to go. Got my part guide over here. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the parts first that I cut off the sprue yesterday. That is these two exterior parts. These parts. I'm going to go ahead and clean them up, get all the flashing removed before I start on the photo etch, so you guys can see what's going on before we get going too far. So I'm going to get at it. I'm going to set parts aside and just get to work. Put on some Star Wars and enjoy myself. Okay? If I have any photo etch parts that need to be flattened, I got my photo etch bender here, which can also work as a flattener. Because I can put some force down on it and just clamp it and let it sit. So if I accidentally bend something wrong, I can unbend it, and I got a part that got bent somehow. So, put my movie back on and get going. I will see you guys in a little bit. I'll stop. When I start doing the first couple of photo etch parts, I'll stop and let you guys see what I'm doing to glue them on. I'm beginning to think some of this detail is going to have to come off here, which the directions here say raised detail. Most of the photo etch parts for the exterior replace raised kit detail that must be removed. This may be done whatever way you're most comfortable, sanding, filing, chiseling. Note that in most cases the surface does not need to be perfectly smooth, as the photo etch part will cover some of the tooling marks. Test fit the photo etch to avoid having tooling marks showing. There you go. Okay, installation parts order. There is no order. Okay, now it says to fold some pieces you will need a pair of razor blades or a specialty tool such as a photo fold available from Paragraphics. We prefer a number 17 X-Acto chisel blade. Extreme care must be taken when using razor blades. I'm just reading from the directions. It's all up here on the top. Okay, and it says nothing about removing detail from this pieces, but I can see some areas where the detail will have to be removed before I put the photo etch parts on. I can see some places where the photo etch parts are just going to go right down on top of what is currently there. Okay, so some of this is going to go easily, some of this is not. Let me get the parts cleaned up, and again, we'll come back and we'll survey this once I get there. I can tell I was doing a really good job of cutting these off because I left plastic behind. I did not cut them flush. I did not undercut them. And that was my goal when I was cutting these guys off the sprue, so I can sand the plastic down the way I want it. So I'll be back in a little bit and let you guys know what I'm doing with the photo etch. I still have some I'm not sure what goes where, so those seem to be all interior parts. Yes, they are interior parts. I am right with that one piece. It does go on that rear bulkhead. This piece here and that piece there goes on there. It goes on there like that. And there's lots of little detail parts that go around that part. So that looks like that's going to be a fun part to do. Put one down, put a lot of pieces on top of it. All right. Getting at it. I'll be back in a little bit. Alright folks, I'm cleaning up very small little photo etch parts. So small I don't know if they're going to show. I'm using the Optivisors, you know, one of these things, to make sure I can see what I'm doing, because these are small. I'm working with probably the smallest parts, the smallest photo etch parts first. I figured why not? Let's get that done. The beginning of the build. Now this is yellow poster tack, okay? I'm using it to pick the parts up with. It's just sticky enough, it just picks them up. They don't go zinging away. If I try to pick them up with tweezers, I already had one zing on me. You know, where you pick it up and all of a sudden the tweezer snaps shut and the part goes flying across the room. Or I had one of these tiny parts go zinging and I found it, and I'm not taking that risk anymore. So the tweezers for these little guys are pretty much out of the picture. Okay? So I take a little piece of poster tack, get my part, put my part down. I'm using a bamboo skewer to maneuver it with. Now, this stuff likes to stick to the poster tack. No doubt of that. Now, I look at it under the optivisors. You guys, I don't know if you can even see this tiny little part. I hold it with the bamboo skewer and I trim it with my knife. They're so small, you can't sand these parts. If you try to sand these parts, it's just not going to work. There we go. And I'm holding it with the bamboo skewer because I don't want the part to go zinging. And then I count the parts to make sure I still have them all. And I do. And this is how I'm cleaning up these little tiny parts. And again, I'm working with the smallest parts on this photo etch first. There's a couple other that are close in size that I'm just not looking forward to dealing with. A lot of these require parts be removed from the sprue. And I'm not looking forward to that either. I mean, from the body of the ship. So again, let me do one more part. I pick it up with the poster tack. I put it on my cutting board. Put it down. Now this one happens to be upside down, so I got to turn it. And again, the poster tack just holds it gently. I hold it with the bamboo skewer. And I trim off the little bit of sprue that's hanging onto it. The attachment nub. And I have a cleaned up photo etch part. Again, you can see compared to my fingernail how tiny that part is. And I don't even know if it's showing on video. I can try zooming in more. Now, there is an extended zoom button. Let's see what that does. And I can move the camera a little bit. The problem here is when I go to move the camera, I'm not going to be able to see what it is I'm doing. There we go. Let's see if she'll focus on that. You can see the part, it's right there. And she's not focusing very well. So you can see I'm working with a very teeny tiny little part. Putting it in my holding bin. Yep, they're all still there. Anyhow, just wanted to show you guys. I'll do one more since I got the camera focused in just a little bit better. Not my fingernails. There we go. Is that on camera? That's on camera. It's the side up I want it to be. There we go. I got the one half of it cleaned up. Turning it. The part's cleaned up. And I take it and put it in its bin. Okay, and do a part count. There's 6 there, 2 there. There's 8 total. I got them all. You guys can see this is not the most fun in the world to do. It's not hard, just not a lot of fun to do this. Okay? Well, I can't say it's not a lot of fun. It's kind of fun knowing I'm working with something that's a little bit bigger than a pinhead. And that amazes me some. Anyhow, hope you guys are enjoying that little bit of photo etch cleanup. This part that goes inside here, I know how this camera works, there we go, was a joy compared to it. That one came right out. That's not glued in, it's just sat in there. I'll glue it in a little bit. I wanted to work on some easy, well, the tiny parts first. All right, I'll be back in a little bit.